Now, it's been a while, but I finally read a book. But it wasn't, how can I put this? It wasn't a book that I chose per se. I'll explain why. I don't read romantasy. It's not my preferred genre. I find it very cringy and very cliche, and it's just not my thing. My wife likes it. She reads it quite a lot, and I have a lot of friends on here, particularly in the book talk community, who love it. That's fine. But for me, it's not something I usually read. But this one, Our Infinite Fates, is a book that I have seen hyped so much in the last 6 months prior to its release that it's kind of hard to ignore. And I bought it for my wife because she was ecstatic that it was coming out, and I managed to get her a sprayed edge version. And I was intrigued by the tagline. The fact that these characters have loved each other in every lifetime, but they've also killed each other in every lifetime. And that's what drew me in. So I started reading it, and I thought, this is okay. It's not bad. I'm intrigued. The flashbacks into the past, into previous lives. And then it started to become a bit of a chore to read. Now, it's taken me 2 weeks to read this book, and it's 400 pages. So normally I would read that in 2 or 3 days, and it's taken me 2 weeks. Now, the quality of writing is high. By no means am I saying this is a bad book, but unfortunately it's one of those where I can give you more critiques than positives. And it seems to be a shared thing. When I look at the reviews on Goodreads and other places, they are spread right across the spectrum from 1 to 5 stars. It's one of the most divisively reviewed books I've seen in a while. And the majority say that, the book is fine, but the approach to and the execution of the story is not at the level it should have been. So we have a modern day setting, 2022 in Wales, and that narrative runs throughout the entire book. And then every chapter, or sometimes every other chapter, we will have a flashback episode where we go back to one of the main characters' previous lives. Now, the first 2 or 3 times that happens, it's interesting, to see these different time periods. But the problem is, after 2 or 3 of those, you start to realize they're all the same. And I'll explain that a bit better. The 2 main characters are called Evelyn and Arden. Now, the entire book is told from Evelyn's point of view, which I think is a missed opportunity. And the flashback chapters are repetitive. With the exception of 2 or 3, they are entirely the same actions, same results, same formula every time. And apart from those 2 or 3 that I mentioned, not one single one furthers the story. So you have Evelyn is the one who's always loving life, living it to the fullest, embracing her family, making friends, working, always with this shared passion of fabrics and clothes and the idea of making clothes in the future. And Arden is always the one who comes along, negative, ruins it all, says he doesn't want to kill her, but he has to kill her, but he can't tell her why he has to kill her because there's 200 pages of the story left to go. I mean, obviously he doesn't say that, but that's how it starts to feel after a while. Also, these characters are supposed to be so bound in love, so intrinsically entwined with each other with this deep love. But at no point do you feel it, really. Like, it doesn't come across. It's like, we're telling you that they're that much in love, but we're not going to show you that. And I hate show don't tell. But in this instance, it's no show all tell. And it really suffers for it. And despite right at the end, a token chapter of their first lives together, we never actually see the moment that they fall in love. At no point in the book do you actually see that moment. You don't see them meet for the first time and fall in love. They're already in love. So for a book that is so focused on how much in love they are, you don't even see that. I also have to say that the overall storyline is too long. It's 400 pages, it should have been 3. And you could have taken out so many of the flashbacks to deal with that. The urgency revolving around Evelyn not dying in the current timeline is to try and save her current sister who needs a bone marrow transplant. And yet Gracie, the character herself, barely gets any airtime, if you like, in the whole book. She gets like a few witty sentences in a few chapters, and that's basically it. The ending doesn't really work for me either. I get that somehow they've overcome all the odds, but it doesn't sit well with me. It's not a very good ending. The actual reveal, the big twist reveal, is more interesting than it is good. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but you can kind of see what Laura Stephen was going for. But yeah, I mean, it's just boring in huge chunks. For me, I have to stress this. My wife keeps telling me this. You have to point out that this is your opinion. And it is very much my opinion, which is why I feel happy to say it out loud. For me, this book was boring. I read the last half of it within a couple of hours to try and get through it. I've got too many other things to read that I want to spend my time on. And I found myself skipping a lot of pages of the last 6 or so flashback chapters because they were meaningless. They don't develop the bond between the two characters. They don't show the love between the two characters properly. They don't further the story, and they give you no hint as to what the overall, the big reveal is. They are entirely meaningless. That's how I see that book. It's basically, when you used to have a 25, 26 episode season of a TV show back in the 90s and 2000s, you'd have about 8 solid episodes, and then the rest would be adventure of the week filler type things. That's exactly what it's like with those flashbacks. So I don't understand why everybody who is giving it 5 stars is so enamored and ranting and raving about it, because I just don't see that side of the book. And I'm sorry that I don't, because I'm sure there are people who love it. I know several of them. But for me, this was a book I had to get through rather than a book for me to enjoy. So I gave it a generous 3 stars. I'm trying not to upset my wife by knocking something that she loves, but for me, this book was just a waste of my time. It did not execute the premise well. So that's as nice as I can be about it, Charlotte. I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad I read it, because otherwise I wouldn't have known, but I would struggle to recommend it to people. And that's just the truth from my perspective, I'm afraid. 3 stars, don't bother. I'm sorry, it was just not my sort of book.